Thick, treacle-like blood glides over a cold stone surface. It leaks into the writing and carvings wrought into a cracked casket. A casket that resides in a crypt deep beneath Ventru Towers. A silence has fallen across you, your primogens, and Mr. Gisborne and Zia, who look coldly into this empty crypt. It doesn't take vampiric senses to recognize that a chill runs through your number. A chill perhaps colder than the freezing air that sort of exuded out of this thing as it was opened. Mr. Gisborne turns and gives Zia a rather knowing look. He is angry. And barely containing it beneath his silky voice, he turns to you all and he says, "You are to return to your domains. You are to speak nothing of this. I have made a note of everyone who stands here. If this information gets out, I will know it was one of you. Do I make myself perfectly clear?" And as another chill runs through the accumulated vampires here. Mr. Gisborne is always a presence of cold calculation, but there is an unmistakable fear that also accompanies that shiver through your ranks. Sid, the primogen of the Bruja, is the first to move. He seizes Toph by the scruff here and instantly starts walking out. Lala, the newly introduced Toreador primogen, takes Cinder by the hand and says, "Come on, dear. Let us be away. At least for now." And she shoots a glance at you, Siegfried, as does Cinder. Faig is just staring into the emptiness of the crypt, Donica. He stands beside you, hunched over, and he didn't seem to react at all at the sight of this reveal. "Hey, Donica, my boy, it's getting late. What you say? You come meet me some other time, yes? We shall discuss." And he sort of just trails off.
Donica is like trying to conceal a smile at the embarrassment that the Camarilla has suffered here, like bringing all these people together and like trying to like do this big reveal, but then there's nothing, and it's just quite embarrassing for the Ventru, and there's something satisfying about that. So he's like trying to conceal that smile, and he'll like look to Faig and nod as you say.
It's actually tangible, the feeling in the room, that embarrassment, or rather that slight moment where the Camarilla and indeed Mr. Gisborne and this new Zia character have been caught unaware, have been caught off guard.
Yeah, it was like a crack in the facade of perfect control.
Absolutely. Siegfried, what's running through your mind as there's sort of like a gradual shift as everyone begins to sort of step back away from the crypt?
Yeah, it's kind of this moment of confusion. Like there's been this huge build up, this whispers of some grand moment, followed by this grand exhibition of Mr. Gisborne calling all the primogens down, and there's like been all this kind of lead into this big situation. And suddenly this like huge deflation of that moment has happened now in front of them, where whatever was supposed to happen clearly has not happened. And kind of this confusion sets in of like, wait, what just happened? Like we got called down here for what? Um, he's going to like look and see the Primogen like pulling away Cinder and like all the other Primogens clearly kind of grabbing at people and moving. And the stone cold looks on Gisburn's face. And it'll be clear to him that now is not the time for questions of such sorts. Um, and he'll be kind of like give a nod to Cinder as she's pulled away by the Primogen. And then kind of like see where everyone kind of ends up going.
That feeling or rather that wave of different emotions, this reveal is it hangs above you all like a cloud as you once again ascend the stairs back up towards the two lifts, and as you get into them, that silence remains. What would you both like to do? Do you mean to leave Vent Two Towers, or do you have other business here?
Donegan didn't want to come here at all in the first place, but now that he's here, it's just like an opportunity to like meet other vampires who, I think he would want to gauge the reactions of people, given what's just happened. So he'd walk out after Feg, but he would be watching like really carefully the other Primogens and the other vampires who like were here to try and gauge like if they're trying to conceal a smirk or if they look horrified or like what their reaction is, particularly the ones he doesn't know, like the Tremere and he actually knows all the rest, I think, at this stage. He doesn't know Lala, but he's like knows of her. But he'd be looking at the Tremere Primogen, definitely. He'd be looking at Jonah to see if he's like cackling or if he's crying or to see what's going on with Jonah. But he's trying to gauge the reaction basically of the Primogens and like if this is something to laugh at the Camarilla or if it's something to be afraid of.
Jonah isn't laughing. Jonah has his eyes fixed to the floor, wide, as if he's seen something horrific. There is a smirk spreading across the face of one of the Nosferatu that you walk past, one that didn't join you down there. So maybe isn't privy to this information, but as you're walking out, you see sort of in a darkened corner on the outskirts of the atrium on the ground floor. Oh, unless actually, would you have? Well, it depends where you got out. Actually, would you have got out at the ground floor, or would you have gone up the tower?
I don't think you'd go back up necessarily. Donegan wouldn't anyway.
That's fine then. So yeah, you'll in fact see. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, a question real quick: is the crazy celebration party still happening, or is it kind of ended as this event has happened?
Right now, it seems like it's still continuing, but you imagine that might stop soon.
Yeah, probably on the way out. So in that case, he would probably just get off where the majority of everybody else was getting off. If they were getting off at the ground floor to kind of disperse, he would do the same.
For sure. Thank you. I should have asked that before. But anyway, as you do get out, then the two of you would be able to spot, or at least Donica, you'll be able to spot this particular Nosferatu. It's one you recognize, one that you very briefly met up in the Shangri-La, the ballroom. This incredibly tall Nosferatu. You rack your brains for a moment, but then I just remember you have an eidetic memory, so you don't rack your brains at all, and you remember instantly that his name is Tobias. And he appears to have a large grin spreading across his face as he sort of like leans against the wall, this massively tall, angular Nosferatu.
Yeah, I'll walk over and lean on the wall as well, and sort of like do the as if something's funny, but I don't know what it is. So I'll just like exhale pretty sharply through my nostrils, as if I'm in on the joke.
What do you find funny? He says, a strangely high voice.
Oh, you know, all this, I suppose.
Yes. You weren't down there very long. I imagine it must be strange to see one of our older kin returning to us.
Oh, I really can't say. Somewhat sworn to secrecy, as it were.
Oh, really? There are no secrets among our kind. We met
Yeah,
before. My name is Tobias, and he extends a very long fingered hand.
yeah, I'll shake it. Mine like equally disformed and like clawed. Donica is my name, and I wish that were true that there were no secrets among our kind, but that's not the impression that I've gotten so far.
No, absolutely not. It's how we make our way in the world.
Well, I think I've had a bit of a chat with Faye about this idea that we don't really fit with the rest of them, and he'll like see Lala walk by with like just unearthly grace, and he'll like look at her for a moment, and then back at the two of them like in the shadows, like monsters. We don't really fit with the rest of them, and I think that whatever loyalties we have, the clan should be at the top.
We have the advantage of being able to look objectively upon our kind. When you stand far enough away, you can get a clearer picture of what's happening. And I like to stand very far away indeed. Or rather, I have somewhat of an advantage when it comes to that, he says, gesturing at his tall stature.
Yeah, Donica will like look up and again like exhale through his nose sharply, the equivalent of a laugh. So you do. It's good to meet you. I haven't met many of our clan, and I find overall I've liked all of them, except for one actually.
Which one would that be?
Oh, there's a club owner. He rubbed me the wrong way, to be honest.
Ah, I think I know the one you're talking about. Quite entrepreneurial is Jeremiah. He is more front-facing than most of our kind would prefer.
I wasn't a fan. He struck me as arrogant, and I feel that that's not a trait that suits our kind.
He's made his own way in the world, as most of our kind often do. But some of us still respect the old ways. Some of us respect what Fag has given us.
I'm trying to make my own way myself, trying to, yeah, acquire the necessary information and wealth that's needed. What do you do to acquire such?
I predominantly work in blackmail, Donica. It is Donica, yes.
Yes, it is. He'll laugh. I see. I suppose we would be good at that.
Very much so. There's an awful lot of money that can be made in such a venture. We should try it sometime.
Yes, yes. I suppose we do blend in rather well and we can hide. I imagine there's all sorts of things you could see without people wanting you to.
Very much of the human world, but of our world too. Many vampires secretly stray beyond the borders of our fine masquerade, and often it is enjoyable to watch them squirm to avoid the procedural punishment that follows. And he gives you like a very wide smile that reveals a number of angular teeth.
Yes, yes, indeed. He'll like nod at that. That sounds correct to him as well. He's had such thoughts about Jeremiah even, and like his very questionable line that he toes along the masquerade with feeding on people and such. And he'll like nod. Yes, yes, indeed. Well, Tobias, it's been an absolute pleasure meeting you, and I hope that we can work together maybe sometime in the future.
My card. And he flips out a silver card holder, and it's one of those that sort of push the card up for you to take one.
Oh, very good. He'll like take it and put it into his jacket pocket. I have no card, no address, no email address, no phone number. I try my best not to exist, to be honest.
Yes, very good. Very good indeed. I respect that you too appreciate the advantage of keeping your distance.
Well, you get a good view from the back, and the seats are cheaper as well. Danica will like smile. Maybe I can sit next to you sometime.
He gives a nod and sort of just steps back. This rake thin, ever so tall Nosferatu just vanishes into nothing. Siegfried, what are you doing as you're in the atrium, you can leave if you spot Danica, whatever you want to do, man. What are you up to?
Yeah, he would probably just kind of find a place to to stand awkwardly while like watching Donica have this conversation with this person. He doesn't want to like intrude. Donica is a person who enjoys his secrets, and he'll leave him to some of them at least. But afterwards, he would approach with just this look on his face, like, "What the hell has happened for the last hour?"
Danica would like raise an eyebrow, shake his head. What the fuck?
I was going to ask you the same thing. It's quite the experience. Not quite the one I was expecting.
Yeah, he'll look around and he'll see, I imagine, like 50 different cameras in this room and like all these like security guards who definitely are like keeping watch over the whole area. And he'll say, we should talk about this, but maybe somewhere more comfortable.
Yes, perhaps.
I know a place. I'm considering making it my home. Why don't we go there?
Yeah, Siegfried will kind of like raise an eyebrow, like, I don't know if this is a place that I want to go, but
It's not.
not here is fine. So he'll just kind of like quizzically, concernedly nod his head.
Yeah, so Danica would like take you outside, and then I guess we can walk, like we're immortal and tireless, and so we can like walk a few miles till we get to like a tube station, and then down, and then like when there's no train, we'll like jump down into the tracks and like down some of the side areas, and then like find a one of those like service doorways, and like he'll smash that open, and then go down several stairs until we're like in the lower city, like around where the sewers are and the subway stations are. And like there'll be like this old, I guess once was a church maybe, way back when. There's like some sort of arched stone that holds open this like ruined room, and he'll look around and like spread his hands wide. What do you think?
It's quite the place you've got here. So I've heard location is everything in real estate, and this is certainly a location.
It's nowhere. It doesn't exist, which is really what I like about it.
It suits you. I'll say that.
And like a rat will like run by and like skitter to the corner of the room, and Donica will like make some rat noises at it, and it'll make one back, and it'll vanish away again.
Yeah, still not used to that one. So what the hell? What happened? What was that?
I think there was going to be a big reveal, but whatever was in that tomb is no longer there.
Yeah. Clearly got Mr. G rubbed the wrong way too. Could cut the air in there with a knife afterwards.
Jonah was staring down at the ground in horror, and Fake said nothing, and that strikes me as unusual also.
They said this guy was like super old, like one of the oldest. If my understanding of things is correct, that's also power.
Yeah.
This must have been a pretty important dude.
They called him Mithras, and I did a Google, and it seems like Mithras was like, there was a Roman cult based around a Mithras, and it's a long story, but it seems like it could be that Mithras.
So Rome? Fuck. So like at least a couple thousand years old.
Yeah. I don't know much about it, but I think what they do is they go asleep for hundreds of years, and then they wake up every now and then they go back asleep again. I don't think they stay awake all the time. least that's what they do in like the Vampire Chronicles, and he like lists off a few like books that he's been reading since he became a vampire to like get ideas of like what that kind of thing works like.
So if this guy is supposed to be like the king or prince or whatever they call them, some big person, why did he leave? You would think that he would, make a big show of coming back to claim his throne or power or whatever. They seem to enjoy their power.
It's a good question, and I don't know, but maybe, I mean, how long has the Camarilla been around? How long has the Masquerade been around? You got to think that in Rome, they were just killing people at will. They were just eating people in the streets. Who was going to stop them? There was no media, no nothing. Maybe he doesn't like being collared. That's what I would feel like, I think.
But wouldn't he be in charge? Couldn't he like say what he wants to say and then it'll like happen? Isn't that how that usually works? Like maybe it's different with the Camarilla, but
maybe. I think everyone has to follow the Masquerade though, and if I was so old that they literally made a cult about me and I had seen Rome in its glory, I can't imagine now living in some disgusting metal tower and having people fawning and being told not to eat people in the street.
yeah, I guess. I don't really know what to make of it all.
Well, I'm glad that there's egg on Mr. Gisburn's face. That's the most important thing for me. He looked embarrassed and afraid, and that's good. I went through a large amount of shit talking. Like I said I would. I apologized to him and to Tess and to Toff and was trying to act contrite. And maybe it worked. I don't think Mr. G bought it, but I think Tess did.
Yeah. A sudden change of heart is not without its concerns, I don't think, no matter who does it. So, we'll see. Certainly was nice to see Mr. Gisborne on the back foot, though. The iron grip of the Camarilla is not all-encompassing as they would like to believe.
Donica will like think, and he'll like walk towards the back of the chamber. And he'll like pull aside this like a massive flagstone with this like ridiculous vampire strength and just like lift it up. And he'll pull out like some brown paper bags and pull out various like stacks of money and put them into his inside pockets and put it back down. We have to deal with Jeremiah, and I think that the sooner we do so, the better.
Yeah, he's certainly a problem. The sooner that we have control, the sooner that we can start taking advantage of it. We'll need a plan. And it seems like Vincent is not going to be very forthcoming with help, given our majority share.
I spoke briefly with a Nos there. Tobias was his name. You probably saw him. He was about 15 feet tall. He said he specializes in blackmail, and it gave me some ideas. The club, there's a lot of... I feel like they very, very, very carefully toe the line of what the Masquerade is and how close they are to breaking it. Feeding on people in full view of other vampires and other people seems to me very dangerous and risky.
Yeah, it seems like one stray eye could crumble the whole thing.
So I have some ideas. One would involve buying some sort of spy camera, placing it on our bodies, simply walking in there, feeding, and walking back out. Another would be making a ghoul, sending them in there to be fed on, and then their testimony could stand up. Since I don't think a ghoul can lie to me if it's my ghoul, but I don't know if that's true. And he'll like scratch the back of his head with his massive claws for a second, like not sure what the rules are around ghouls. But either way, if we can find proof that he is flaunting the Masquerade, though it hasn't maybe been broken yet, we can phrase it that it's a matter of time. Not only does that then remove him from the position, but it also allows us to show the Camarilla that we care about the Masquerade.
Get on their good side. The only worry is that if they perhaps think this is too close a violation, then we may not end up with anything to inherit in Jeremiah's place afterwards. They decide that it's such an operation that it can't continue to exist under anyone's control and shut it down, then we have nothing.
That's true.
But that may be the better option. At the very least, it makes us some friends in good places.
I don't know what other options there are. We can't kill him. That breaks a major rule. If there was a way to make him sick or ill, I don't know if that works, though. If we poisoned one of the people he was going to feed on, then it will like tap his claws against one of the nearby flagstones, and it'll make this disgusting like clank, clank, clank noise.
Can vampires get poisoned? Is that how, like, does that work that way?
I don't know. You are what you eat, though. He'll sort of shrug.
I guess. Unless there was a, like, make the guy, like, drink holy water or something. Just, like, shrug, like, as if that's even, he doesn't even know if that's possible or if it exists, but I'm just like, I don't know.
I think that if we had the proof, we could come to Jeremiah with it and say, listen, you are breaking the masquerade on a pretty regular basis, and here's the proof that we have. Maybe you should step down and gift that club to us, and we don't report you to the sheriff, and he won't tear your heart out.
It could work.
And if he refuses, then we don't really lose anything. And we report him to the Camarilla, and we see what they do. In the worst case scenario, we don't get the club. We apologize to Vincent, but we get in well with the Camarilla.
Yeah. Though Vincent at least seems to have some strange powers, and so do others. We don't really know what Jeremiah is capable of. If we go into him directly, it's against the rules to kill vampires, but we don't know how much Jeremiah cares about the rules and what he can do to us if he wanted to. Perhaps the two of us could take him easily and it wouldn't be an issue, but perhaps he has some weird mind reading, heart stopping mind powers or something like Vincent does.
Well, then only one of us goes, and the other is insurance.
That could work. That way, no matter what, the secret is still in our hands.
Another option is to make a copy of the information we have and leave a letter at the club.
More indirect provision of the information. Although that's easier to ignore at the very least. If we go face to face, there's no oops, I didn't get it. Oops, I don't care.
Yes.
The threat's more real.
I think it's our best bet. I don't know what other options or approaches we have that don't either get us killed or have us break the masquerade.
Well, both of those things I think would be better to avoid, so I'm inclined to agree. I think this blackmail route is perhaps the better option. We'll bring it to him, tell him to stand down, step away. If he doesn't, we blow his cover. Very least he'll be gone. We'll make some friends with the people who care about that sort of thing.
Excellent. Well then, we must do some shopping.
Yes.
So, oh, sorry, go ahead.
Nope, that was it. Yes.
Okay, yes. So just to let you guys know then, you have a couple hours of darkness left of this night before the sun rises, so you can definitely get a little bit of prep work in tonight. Then the next night, up to you. So in the dwindling hours of the night, is there anything that you'd wish to do?
I guess I would try and buy some spy cameras. You can get those like ridiculous Snapchat glasses that like record, and then I'm sure there's like a better way to do it than that. But like, it's possible to buy them in like a PC world or something. Like they're not like super high tech.
There are those like novelty like spy shops too that like sell like the weird like I have a camera in my Coke can,
Yes.
whatever, like the weird stuff like that. I'm sure we could find like a body cam or something like that, or a glasses cam or something.
So I guess what we would do is break into a PC world or something, since it's nighttime. Sort of Tonic's specialty is breaking into places anyway. He's somewhat of a second story man. So that's what he would do, and I'll have a look and see if I can find anything useful. If I can't, I'll simply go to Amazon Prime and order it, and it'll be here tomorrow. Though I prefer not to because I don't have an address, so I'd have to use yours.
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, you can absolutely order it on Amazon Prime and have it sent to Siegfried. So it's entirely down to you. And just to clarify, then that is going to be personal cameras that can be upon you, but also cameras you can leave in rooms and stuff. Correct?
So it would be like, for example, like a pair of sunglasses that have a camera in them.
Yeah.
And then like maybe a pen camera. They have those in spy films and whatnot, and like things like that. I don't really want to leave a camera anywhere. I'd rather have it on us the whole time, because if they find it, then it gives the game away before we get it done. Yeah, I think that's probably the best thing to do, is cameras we can keep on us.
So you're able to use your, I'm imagining that you'll have like at least started the setup for the mammoth back computer-esque rig you're going to be having in here. So you've got all these wires at the moment twisting down from the ceiling at the moment. You haven't yet like made it look all nice, but it works.
Yeah.
And you're able to order those things. Yeah, no problem at all. And you're sending that to Siegfried's, yeah?
Yeah, well, I can't really send them here, unfortunately.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
There's no address. But yeah, actually, we can't get them in the daytime, so we'd have to send them to Siegfried's. Because if it was like, if they delivered at night, then we could like wait and deliver them to next door and then grab the package before people get up. But I don't know if that's reasonable, so we'll just send them to Siegfried's.
Okay. So, anything else as the night dwindles? Siegfried, are you going to be staying here, or will you be going elsewhere?
If the plan is to get into action right as the next night begins, which I think sounds like probably the case, he would probably stay here, assuming that he was allowed. I don't see why he wouldn't be. So that they don't have to waste any time of like, hey, where are you at? Oh, where are you at? Let's meet at this place. It's just we can just go.
Yeah, it's not comfortable here. Donica sleeps hanging from the ceiling, and so he hasn't got a bed. Because it's one of like the quirks of being a Nosferatu is that he like hangs like a bat. But I'm sure that like we could throw some coats on the ground and find somewhere for you to sleep.
Yeah, I kind of gotten the sense too that like vampire sleep is like more of like an instinctual thing. Like it's just you can like feel the sun coming and like, your body's just like, all right, time to go. Like it's, I feel like it's easier to sleep as a vampire than it is as a person. Just as a quick side note, before the night was up, Siegfried would send a message to Cinder, thanking her for the night and that he would be in touch this time for real.
The text reads delivered, not read.
Fair enough.
At least for a little bit. Excellent. So, in that case, the sun rises above London and then falls away, and darkness returns to the land. Siegfried, you have a strange dream. You see an empty, black, glassy ballroom. Surrounding the sides of a vast dance floor are countless numbers of faceless individuals. They all appear to be dressed the same, just in dark suits. And they watch as you stand in the center of this hall. And at the far end, there is a set of stairs. It's almost like a dark universe portrayal of the ballroom you just visited at this party. And descending the steps, you see a woman, moving with a dancer's grace, slinking towards you like a cat, circling you like prey. Zia gives you a very cruel smile, her eyes looking into you as if seeing through you, and you awaken.
He'll awaken in kind of in a startle. Like he was in this like dark place in this crowd, and then suddenly he's here. And he's used to waking up in his place, even still now as a vampire. That's where he's been sleeping. So it like he has that moment where like you wake up in a place that you don't usually sleep, and it startles you. Suddenly he's just in this like dark, decrepit place, even still when he wakes up. And it is a strange awakening. It'll kind of shake his head in confusion, and can still like feel those eyes in his own mind staring into him or through him, as you put it. And he'll just kind of stand up, like scratch at the back of his head with a worried look and glance to see if Donica's awake.
Yeah, I think like Donica would awake somewhat bizarrely right as you look at him. I feel like that's probably like a Nosferatu trait. Like you look and then the eyes just like open, and he'll like flip down from the ceiling and land. And I guess do a stretch, and he'll like stretch out his fingers, and then maybe there's even like this impression from like the way that his hands are that like the index finger is like quite a bit longer than the others, and if there was webbing, they would be wings, you know, like bat wings. He'll just like stretch and then crack his neck. Are we ready?
Yeah. I just a quick out of character question, Rob. Is it normal that vampires would have dreams at all? Like, would this be like a unique experience in that sense, or would it still be regular for vampires to dream, and this was just a very vivid one?
I imagine that you can dream as a vampire. I think most of the time they're probably not very nice dreams. Either they're almost like bastardizations of what how a human being would dream. Much more vivid, much more visceral, and rarer. But they can happen. I don't recall whether we've had a dream sequence for you in this campaign yet, but I know others have had. So,
yeah, he would just kind of give a Donica a look. I had a dream last night. Not like a normal one. That woman from the ball, the weird one, that was talking to Mr. G, the one with the icy stare.
The
I
Archon.
was in like, yeah, I was in like a big empty ballroom surrounded by like faceless men in suits. And I saw her like come down the stairs and like look at me. She was like smiling like a tiger ready to pounce on prey. It was strange. Normally, I would just chalk it up to a weird dream, but she seems like a weird person. I don't know what to make of it.
You never know what our kind can do either. It's very possible that some of them have dream powers. He'll like shrug.
Yeah, I was thinking the same thing. Normally, I would chalk it up to just a weird dream, but I don't know. This one felt different.
Why would she be after you though? You don't. I mean, no offense, but we don't matter in the great wheel of what the Camarilla has going on.
I don't know. He just kind of shrugs, like as if like there was supposed to be something that comes to mind of like, oh, maybe it's just there's nothing. Like he just doesn't know why she would possibly be interested.
Maybe it's the sires who made us. I mean, that was brought up, although they didn't appear at the party.
No, I didn't. I certainly did seem to have a big fuss about trying to find them, though. Could be.
Ah, fuck it. Let's go blackmail a man.
Yep. Sounds good to me. So something that I would have thought of maybe because Vincent like is part of the club, so he could probably just get us in. Like I don't see how we would need to even sneak in. Like we just like
Yep.
put the cameras on, call Vincent, and be like, "Hey, show us around." I imagine we would get in touch with him, assuming there was no objections to that plan.
Yeah, I think the best way is to like just go to the club and like feed and take part, and like pay for whatever designer blood or whatever it is that they drink in there, and just like pay because it's not like Donica has no money, and just like enjoy ourselves and maybe like I mean don't go mental, but like have a sort of night and enjoy it, or pretend to enjoy it at the very least, and yeah, the worst thing we can do is like stand around and like moving the pen camera around and be like, can you say that again? Like
Yeah.
Just like try and be as normal as possible, I think, and Vincent seems the best call.
So, like secret shoppers, you prepare your undercover mission to once again feel the bliss of ecstasy. You arrive to pick up the stuff that was delivered. I'm guessing you have to go via Siegfried's, right, to get the stuff?
Yeah, for sure.
Assuming that the package would be there by nighttime.
Yeah, I just wanted to get a gauge where in London you're going at this point. You open the door, and Siegfried, you remember from life, whenever you receive post, thankfully, it's always put in behind your door. It isn't just left outside. However, shock and horror, you have received a slip saying, "Sorry, we missed you, ... Just kidding, it's there. I just know how frustrating that is when you get home and you're like, oh man, I have to go find it at the post office.
Yep. You go to the shop for 20 minutes and you come back and you've missed them, like, for fuck's sake.
No, it's there. Just kidding, guys. And yeah, so you have your equipment, and I think we can have a little think about how we're going to go about doing this as we take a very short break. For those of you watching live and after the fact, welcome to Vampire the Masquerade 15. I forgot the number. WoD. And it's a focused session today, as you can see, just Donica and Siegfried. But sometimes that can be a good thing. We're just focused on one story arc, getting stuff done.
Yeah, for once.
No, it's been a real pleasure so far. Really, really fun. So guys, we'll take 5 minutes and then we'll be right back to see how you do with your little bit of espionage. Looking forward to it.
Sounds good. I think it's gonna work.
Yeah. Hopefully.
It's the best plan. I can't think of another way to do it without like massive fallout. You know, even this is
Yeah.
risky.
Definitely. Yeah, it's like the only other thing. Like it's either like go risky and like try to like kill him and like do something crazy like that and try to avoid that, or like just get the entire thing completely shut down, and then the point of it is lost anyway. So I think
Yeah.
this is like the the closest to some middle ground that we can get of some chance of success.
Yeah, I mean it's risky in its own way in that like you say, like they could easily just be like, well, that's happening there and that can't happen anymore. But maybe we'll get the club out of it anyway.
Yeah, well, hopefully this will get Jeremiah to step down without having to like cause a big fuss with the Camarilla.
Yeah.
Hopefully just the blackmail of it is enough.
I guess in a worst case scenario, we can go to the Camarilla and say like, this is an important part of like research and stuff like that, and we will do it in the following ways: closed off rooms and X, Y, Z, and like here's how we'll make sure that no breach is possible. Something like that, you know. But
yeah, kind of take control of it, but with assurances that we're gonna do it the right way.
Yeah.
Unquote, where
because they were
Jeremiah
just
is
all
not.
hanging out in that fucking room. There was like 30 people in
Yeah.
that room, like all just like
Yeah.
eating people, and yeah.
Yeah, big ass line of people like waiting to get in and out. Like it'd be
Yep.
so easy for some guy to just be like, "What's taking so long? What the fuck?" Like,
Yeah.
and then yeah, who knows what has to happen from there? Murder, probably. Yeah. As much as it's always kind of a bummer to be down people, it kind of worked out because like we've been trying to do this
Yes,
for like
for
so
somebody.
long in the campaign.
Yeah.
It's like such a big time commitment that it's like it's hard to fit it in while also doing everybody else's stuff.
Yeah, for sure.
Kind of slots in nicely.
But particularly in a campaign like this, which is so like player choice driven, then it's like it's so hard to make.
Sorry, I cut out there for a second.
Not so good. Yeah, it's just like hard to make time for this kind of stuff when there's other players, you know.
Yeah, they all have their own things that they're trying to do, and also like things that we also need to do as a group. And it's like there's only so much time for so many things.
Right.
Right. So it is about 9 o'clock. Well, unless you want to wait, what time do you want to actually get to the to Ecstasy, or rather Cirque du Soir, its front?
I guess when it's busy, what I would do is we would do some test runs with the equipment to see how it works.
Okay.
So like I would try it at home with Sig and like I guess maybe it's a pair of sunglasses and like a camera pen or something like that, and I would just like put it on and like see how normal it looks, and then also like the quality and how close you have to be to somebody and like what the recording is like and that kind of thing.
For sure. And I imagine that would record onto, I don't know, would it be Bluetooth? I don't really know much about some of this equipment.
There's probably like a chip in the thing, like an SD card or something in the.
Sure.
Yeah, I was gonna say at least for the sunglasses, you could probably get a mini SD for it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Something like that.
We'll just say it's recording onto something somewhere. That's fine.
Yeah, Donica has like rigged it up so it records to his computer or something like that.
That's perfect. Yeah, straight to the back computer. Okay, yeah. So you're able to run your tests, and you seem pleased with the quality. I imagine that no expense was spared in the quality of the equipment.
Yeah, absolutely not.
You absolutely have the money for it. It is a bit later on then, if you're going to wait for it to be busy, coming up towards 11 o'clock midnight time. And you can see that there is a large queue before Cirque du Soir. Already you can see the burlesque dancers and the circus and cabaret kind of performers doing their routines, fire breathing, erupting at different points, which gives you both a little bit of a shiver. Remember, fire is not the best. You see beautiful women with snakes draped across them, and all kinds of activity going on within.
I guess we would try and call Vincent and get him to like get us to skip the queue and like give us the VIP experience, if that's possible, so that we can like come in without any hassle. We don't have to like get there and have like Jeremiah's guys be like, "Hey, you're those guys who gave him shit earlier in the year or whatever." So if we get Vincent in to do a tour or whatever, that would be ideal.
Absolutely. Well, in that case, we can just say that as part of your preparatory work, you would have contacted Vincent, and you're happy to find that you will be upon the guest list, meaning that you can jump that very long queue, VIP guest list. You arrive, and there is a bouncer there that checks to see if the names are on there that you suggest. Donica, are you just walking in, or are you,
Yeah, I think so. He's probably done the
mask?
The mask, so they doesn't look like a vampire. But he guess he would look like himself in. No, he'll never do that because he doesn't want anyone to know what he used to look like. He'll look like the same person he went as the ball just like some guy he'd eaten in the past.
And what does he look like, just so I'm aware?
I guess it was a homeless man. So like scruffy sort of beard, like long matted hair, like wiry, gaunt.
Yeah, the bouncer just sort of gives you like a uneasy kind of look, but there's an aura that comes from the both of you that doesn't make him ask questions. He's used to strange people coming into Cirque du Soir, and he steps aside, and you are greeted with a wave of different sensations as you enter. And before you, within the Cirque du Soir section, not upstairs in ecstasy, before you, you see Vincent, who is happily talking to what appears to be another vampire you get from your senses, but he turns and almost sort of casually and spots you entering, and he says, welcome, please have a drink. And he sort of gestures, and drinks are brought. Champagne, it seems.
Wonderful, thank you. Donica will drink.
Same.
Might I inquire as to the nature of this delightful visit?
I've heard a lot of things about this place. We thought we'd give it a go. We've recently come into some money. Things have been going rather well. Thought we'd enjoy ourselves.
I would be more than happy to facilitate your experience here, I'm sure. Shall we go upstairs? And he gives like a raise of the eyebrow.
Yes, that's probably best. Although I would like to enjoy the... he'll look around at all the insanity. No rush, eh? And he'll give Vincent a look like, let's take a casual.
Sure. And he sort of slowly starts walking through people without any kind of effort whatsoever. He's just one of those people that can walk through a busy nightclub without it affecting them at all. These people exist, and Vincent is definitely one. Okay. Well, is there anything you want to do before you go upstairs, both of you?
Not me. It's really just a case of like not rushing to the thing. So he wants to like make it clear that if anyone's watching camera wise, that like we've come in to actually have a good time. So like wander around, like watch a show over there, and like watch somebody with like some aerial silks, and kind of like do the polite golf clap when they finish, and like making a point of having an evening as opposed to coming in, going right to the place.
Yeah, looking like patrons, not auditors.
Yeah.
Excellent. So you take your time, and eventually you're able to sort of drift in the direction of the staircase that will lead you up to, first of all, the secondary balcony floor that overlooks Cirque du Soir. So you can see all the lights and the performances that go on. And then to the door that leads to a second staircase that winds up to ecstasy. The light is dark and the music is sort of surreal, melodious, and rhythmic. It's a definite change of tone as soon as you step through those doors and you start climbing those stairs. And there are people that stand at that door that are clearly vampires that are basically checking to see who's going in. But with Vincent at your side, they do not question you, and you're able to go up. And again, you are greeted with that image of ecstasy. You see this long hall with red lights flashing about, and you see a number of divans and chalons and things like that, sort of lining the this room, and a number of incredibly rich human beings succumbing to the embrace willingly. And
I'll be sure to like get a good view of that as I like walk around, and like the lack of separation, and that if any one of them was for a moment like not in the embrace, that it would immediately break the masquerade for everyone. Like if one of these people, even for a second, wasn't under control, the danger inherent in that, and he would just like look around carefully and like admire some of the beautiful people here, and also get a good view of all of the vampires who are feeding here. He wants to make sure that all of their faces end up on the camera.
absolutely. And most of them seem distracted by their work, as it were. You see a mixture of different types of vampires performing the oldest rite of your kind, and yeah, they all appear to be busy, but you get good shots of all of them. Vincent, sorry, go ahead.
Donica would like he's drinking the champagne and he would be like, "Oh, marvelous! Oh my goodness, look at this! Ooh, wow, such opulence!" And sort of like as if he's a tourist, you know, sort of like hamming it up a little bit. And then he would like say to, I guess Vincent, since he's nearby, "No, I want the elite package, whatever the fanciest thing I can get here is."
Well, we do have two incredibly wealthy Bulgarians. They're part of a long dynasty, and they have a rather large amount of money and very little to actually do with it.
That sounds perfect.
Boy or girl, he smiles.
First one, then the other.
Excellent. A man of diverse taste. I respect that. Very well. It shall be done. And he sort of walks you through the main hall, and you're noticing that there are a number of separate rooms as well that lead off. You imagine that these are more private booths, and you'll walk to the very back where there is the famed red cord across the door, which means that only the wealthiest may pass this point. And Vincent says, "I'll be sure that they visit you presently. And for you, my friend Siegfried," he looks at you. He still has those round sunglasses on over his face, but you can see the twinkle of his eye just over the rim.
Yes, perhaps I should find an experience of my own if you'd have one.
Of course. Ecstasy is open to you. However, I did neglect to inform that Jeremiah. I neglected to inform Jeremiah that you would be visiting this evening. He is a little preoccupied at the moment, speaking to one of our stranger clients.
Of course, we'll be sure not to disturb him, I'm sure.
Of course. Please feel free to explore, or if you would have something in particular brought to you, you need only bring it to my attention.
Perhaps surprise me with something fine. Of good taste, of course.
Ah, excellent. We do like to keep our customers on their toes, as it were. And he sort of like slinks away into the darkness. If you wait, then he will essentially bring someone to you.
Yeah, he would wait, kind of taking advantage of this back private room space until Vincent brought whatever willing prey was of sufficient haste.
Separate booths, guys.
Yeah, I mean, my preference would be to have it in the big area, but I guess I paid the money to be in a booth, so that's fine.
Excellent. Okay. So, Donica, you're able to sit down. Essentially, this is like a macabre, sort of twisted version of a strip club. You have this this sort of rounded, massive kind of sofa chair thing that makes up one half of the room. Essentially, very plush, very comfortable. There are drinks already in there that you imagine you can just have. Same for you, Siegfried. As you make yourself comfortable, two beautiful looking human beings walk into the booth. They have a strange kind of look about their face. You can tell that there's something a little off about them. They don't appear to be in full possession of their faculties, and they wander in and they sit either side of you. They both have fair hair, both very striking, beautiful looking people, and they instantly sort of press their company towards you, shall I say.
Do I get the impression that they've been like ensorcelled in some way? That they've like that they're not themselves because they've been like glamoured?
I think it's time we actually rolled some dice.
Jesus. Okay.
So, I would like you to give me either a perception occult or perception
Awareness?
awareness. Yeah, either one of those two.
Okay.
Is this me as well, or just Don?
You absolutely can as well, Siegfried.
Okay, so I got 2.
Was that occult or awareness?
Awareness.
Yes. Something very, very strange has befallen these individuals. You imagine some kind of ensorcement, but you're no expert there. But there's something unnatural happening there.
Okay.
Siegfried, what did you get?
I got 1 success using awareness as well.
Okay, so maybe a little bit of the same, but you're not entirely sure. But yeah, that's what you get. And just to let you know, Siegfried, the individual that joins you in your booth, is let me think. I imagine this beautiful redheaded woman comes in. Again, the same kind of expression on her face, but she looks to be quite sad. She looks to be someone that seems, although under this strange power, also isn't hiding the fact that they're not entirely happy about the situation. And she sort of gives you like a shy look as she enters your booth.
Did these people pay to be embraced? Is that what's happening? Like they're paying money to come in here and have, okay.
Yeah, there's this unexplained feeling. As Vincent had described it last time, there is, generally speaking, those that experience this feeling can't fully describe it, and there's not really been any explanation as to why they don't remember any of it.
Now, is it normal that like when you feed on someone that they don't remember it? Like they go under in some way, right?
There is very much this strange feeling that happens to you when you're embraced anyway, but on such a scale with so many people, it is a miracle that hasn't, you're bound to remember something.
Right.
You're bound to remember that you were in a specific club, for example, so clearly other methods are being used as well.
I wonder if that's Vincent since he's a sorcerer. But then why would he make us or get us to do this? Okay, so I'll take a bite of each one and just like have like a sip, I guess. He doesn't want to drink deeply because he's wary of like maybe they have something in their blood. So he's going to be careful. He'll like take one sip from each, and then he'll like sit back and like look at them, and he will say to them, "Goodness, what's happened?"
What do you mean? The man says.
Well, you're bleeding.
Oh. Yes. And he dips his hand onto his neck where you had bitten him. For those sips, Donica, by the way, 2 blood points. He says, yes. I suppose that's what has to happen.
And that's what you wanted to happen.
I did. It's unlike anything else. Thank you.
Are you not scared?
We're all scared. Some of us pay for the pleasure.
And what if I killed you?
Then I would die.
He'll stand, and then he'll like get to like where the door is, and he'll drop the mask and turn back around to look at them both.
You see horror begin to slowly spread across their half inebriated faces and begin to recoil back. And
calm now.
That's going to be a roll to see if you can convince him to not like instantly scream. I'll let you argue what you want on that. I'm guessing that's going to be intimidation.
Yeah, manipulation and
intimidation.
Intimidation. Okay, cool.
Certainly.
Oh, that's a 10. Very well. Okay, so 3.
And you just go shh, right?
Yeah, he just like puts his hand to his lips and shh.
They both shudder in fear, but no scream escapes them.
What have you gotten yourselves into? How strange that you would come here and do this.
They're absolutely horrified. They're like literally trying to press themselves back into the corner of the room as far as they can. You're standing in the way of the door. This monster of the night has appeared before them, and they can't quite fully explain it.
Now I want to try and so what I want to do is command them to stay here until after the next feeding is done, and then remember. It's quite complicated, so I don't know if that's possible, but what I want to try, like, it's not possible via command, but what I want to try and convince them is, I haven't hurt you, and I won't hurt you, but the next one, he's going to kill you.
Okay. So command, just to remind me, command, is it just a simple...
So I'm actually not going to use it because command is one word thing and it won't work for what I'm trying to do. Command is like stop, for example. So I'm actually going to just try and like continue talking to them and like getting to believe what I'm saying.
Yeah, sure. For the meantime, they're looking horrified at this warning, this macabre warning that you're giving them that the next individual to feast upon them won't stop.
But I care about you, and I'll protect you. So if that happens and he comes in here, or she comes in here, you scream. You scream for everything that you have, and I'll make sure that you're okay.
Yes. Yes, but and the girl sort of like manages to like stammer a sentence out and says, "What, what, what are you?"
And what you paid for.
Horrified, she begins grasping at her companion and says, "Please, just don't hurt us. Please, please."
I won't. Don't worry. And then he'll walk back outside, put the mask back on. And then he's going to like move and stand nearby to where that door is and just like look at it and watch. He wants to basically get on film the breaking, that like somebody's begins screaming and they're probably going to try and run. He wants to get that on film.
Siegfried, what are you doing now that the this rather shy girl has entered your particular booth?
Siegfried will just kind of gesture from where he's at in the booth, and just kind of with his hand beckon her over, and kind of see if she's gonna like actually just come and sit, or if she is gonna remain hesitant.
She does come and sit down, but her eyes are still fixed on the floor.
Yeah, he'll just kind of like lean in to where she is, just whisper, "Perhaps we can help you forget whatever seems to be ailing." Uh, and then he'll just from behind, while she's still kind of looking down at the ground, bite.
Yeah, absolutely. You embrace, and all of that tension is released as she basically relaxes into the embrace and feels that ecstasy that this place is known for. It is then that a violent scream erupts from the booth next to you. Tough. The night has been a blur for you. To catch you up, Lionel, you had been ordered out of the shard almost instantly at the sight of this empty crypt. Sid had basically dragged you out by the scruff and told you to stay out of trouble and kicked you out into the light air of London. Now, that was last night. It is now a new night. What are you up to at this time?
I think Toph is just a bundle of emotions. I know this is hard to believe, but it's different. Usually it's like this controlled rage for Toph, but there's still that rage is always the rage in Toph, but it's different now because things are moving too quickly for him. Toph is not, the brightest brightest crayon in the box. He's not an idiot by a stretch, but geez, things are just getting way too political for him. So he just needs some time and distance. Tess is gone, and he didn't want to admit it, but he was starting to form an attraction, or not an attraction, but an affinity for her. And that is a new emotion in him. And so I think what he would be doing is just sitting quietly in his flat. Oddly, he would be cleaning it. He would be throwing out some of the trash and garbage that had collected in the corners, realizing how deplorable the condition was. So he's doing that, and that's when I think he gets like the buzz on his phone, and he looks, and it's one of his bandmates, asking, "Where the fuck are you, Toph? Haven't seen you for weeks. Haven't heard from you," kind of a thing. And he just kind of looks at the phone for a while, tosses it over onto this kind of broken futon / couch that he has in his place, and goes about cleaning. And then he goes back over to his phone, and then he starts to send a message back.
What is the message?
In classic Toph, it's going to be really short and really and to the point. I've been busy with some shit. Sorry. Let's get together. World's End. And I don't know what time it is, but I'm just like 11:30.
Excellent. Okay, yeah, so you can absolutely make those plans, and you can head over to the World's End if you like. How will you go? Will you go by tube? Will you get a taxi? What are you going to do?
Nope, he's gonna walk. He's just he's got to think some things over, and he just wants to spend some of that time just walking. It's kind of like in his own little world. So he doesn't even feed before he gets to World's End,
Before you get to World's End, I would like you to make an awareness perception roll, please.
I don't even have dice out, man. Awareness perception. All right. Let's see what we got here. All right. This is going to be bad. Oh, it's almost worse, too, because he's not really paying attention. Not bad. Out of 3 dice, out of 4 dice, I got 3 successes. So I'll take that.
You get the beginnings of a reflex. And I say the beginnings of a reflex because even you aren't fast enough to not be surprised by what just happens to you. The form of Zia appears directly in front of you, about a foot away. And standing there directly in front of you with her finger over her lips. Shh. Donica screaming is erupting out of the booth.
Yeah, I'll move in there with like insane speed and like try and knock unconscious the 2 people.
Absolutely, you can make a single attack against their defenses because they'll,
Dex plus Brawl.
Dex plus Brawl, please.
I'm worryingly good at this.
You have to beat a whopping 2 successes, 1 each.
Okay, and then another 3 dice. It's 7.
Oh, what do you do?
So he just goes in, I guess, and he, I guess, pushes past whatever vampire is in there, and he's just gonna like, now not intending to kill, he's gonna just like really sort of almost like flick right there on the jaw, which is gonna knock out a spot on each of them, just boom, boom, and they'll just like crumple, I guess. I hope.
I would like you to make another brawl check now, please. Ooh, 2 rerolls. Okay.
7 again.
Does not quite beat the 9 required, as the vampire that you pushes past you objects to your entry. you see this really greasy looking individual. He's wearing what looks to be like a relatively cheap suit for this particular establishment. Slick, oily hair sort of hangs back over his head, and he's kind of got like a curtain hairstyle almost. And he basically seizes you by the back of the neck and smashes you for 4 bludgeoning damage into the wall. And that's halved, by the way.
Okay.
And basically has got you by the throat against the wall, and he has this foul breath about him, and he says, "You ruined my starter."
I just heard screaming. I wanted to help.
You feel the grip tighten around your throat as this vampire is basically, well, not choking the life out of you, but obviously applying pressure and is just glaring into you. This pasty, small man, portraying quite a lot of strength, it seems.
Are they still screaming?
Oh no, you managed to knock them out first.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. Why were they screaming?
And he sort of looks down to them and he says, "I do not know. I pay plenty of money to ensure that this doesn't happen. Why did you do this?"
Do what? I just heard screaming. I made sure you were something. I don't know.
You're going to get us thrown out.
First time here. I don't know. I'm sorry.
He just drops you onto the ground and he says, "This is ridiculous. This is ridiculous. I've waited long for this. You don't understand my position. You don't understand how much planning goes into this particular feed, okay? Who gave you my Bulgarians?"
I don't know. I just heard screaming. I don't know who they are.
You have no right to come in here and...
I'm sorry. I don't even work here. I just heard screaming. It's my first time. I'm only new to being a vampire. I'm sorry.
So you work for Jeremiah, is that right?
No, I don't work here. I heard screaming and I didn't want... I don't know. I'm sorry.
Get out.
They've seen you and they were screaming. Do they have to die?
He just looks at you with cold eyes. That'll be a question for the management, I'm sure.
Oh,
I will
God.
summon them.
Don't kill them. Oh God. It's not their fault. They're just people.
Just people? People? Siegfried, are you doing anything whilst you've heard the screaming now abruptly stop in Donika's booth that you'd left?
Yeah, Siegfried will be surprised to hear screaming, as that was not part of the arrangement that he had made with Donica coming in here, so it catches him off guard. But he's going to turn towards this sad red-haired woman and tap into that strange, unearthly charisma that the Toreador have. I'm going to use presence here, one of my disciplines here.
Okay.
Which I have already rolled and have like a billion successes, which is enough to use the power. So basically, she's going to be like particularly accepting of my opinions. I'm just going to like look at her and say, "This is perfectly normal. No reason to be alarmed. Please just go on about as normal, and there's nothing to be afraid of." As like the scream happens and then stops.
Yeah, she sort of like mumbles like and repeats your words. "There isn't anything to be afraid of." And she suddenly sort of brightens up a little bit. You see her attitude almost change at your presence, obviously.
Yeah, and then he'll kind of begin to like usher her back. I guess he would have seen where the customers come out of and that they like where they head back towards. And would kind of just walk her out back towards the wherever that she needs to leave to. Just kind of reassuring her as he goes that whatever happened was nothing.
Yeah, she seems to make like a hasty exit. It's at this point that you see Vincent pushing his way towards the booth that Donica was in.
Yeah, Siegfried will just kind of like turn, kind of waiting in the hallway, as Vincent pushes past with just a genuine confused look, not even a false one, because he doesn't know what's happening either. And he'll kind of turn, and stalk behind Vincent, not like getting in his way, but just kind of watching what happens.
Vincent talks through gritted teeth. I didn't realize you were coming here to start trouble so early, Siegfried. What has your friend done?
I have no idea.
He pushes like straight into the booth and he spots the vampire that is now just like glaring at you, Donica. Vincent walks in and you spot him, and Vincent says, "Oh, my friend, my dear friend, there has been a misunderstanding.
Sir,
Everything."
do you work here, sir? Help.
Donica, you can drop that.
He'll do so immediately and like go back to his usual sort of deadpan expression.
Now, Nim, may I call you Nim? Nim, this very greasy, ratty-looking vampire, just stares at him and says, "What is to be done? I come here because I have very specific tastes, and you often have accommodated them, and now this has been almost unforgivable." Vincent beams widely and says, "Almost unforgivable, I see. Tell me, my friend, how could we appease you?" "I'd like my order being moved up, please. What we discussed. And no funny business this time. I don't trust you, Tremere, enough anyway. I want what I have paid for, and I want it now. I want my slot being brought forward now." Vincent nods. "Very well. I shall ensure that you will be... this discrepancy is accommodated for. You have my word. Come with me, sir." And he ushers this man out, and he just gives you a glare. The two of you just over his shoulder, just glaring at you, and ushers the man away.
Sorry, I disconnected there for a second, but
I saw, yeah.
He was taken away, is what happened, yeah?
Yeah, Vincent's come in, and this greasy-looking vampire called Nim has rather specific tastes, and has some kind of slot that he's now demanded to have be brought forward. He's here for another purpose as well, it seems.
Okay, cool.
So Vincent has basically led him away and shoots like a glare at the two of you.
And the two Bulgarians are still there?
Yes, yeah, they've just been left there.
Interesting. Okay, so I'll be sure to like look in on them, and like just like focus in to see that they are still, in fact, still breathing, and that they have seen what they have seen, and then I will like make my way back outside.
For sure. As you're about to, Vincent appears in your way. He's clearly like quickly gone, sorted something out, rushed straight back to you. "There is an opportunity that you might want to take advantage of."
Is that so?
The man who you just had an altercation with, his a Ventrue, and certain Ventrue have, shall we say, tastes they have to adhere to, tastes that have to be accommodated for.
There's going to be a specific kind of feeding happening?
Yes.
Where?
One of the booths. There is a suite that will be used. Our Nim has a rather macabre and questionable preference.
Interesting. Donica will like nod. Is there any will there be any security there?
Nothing I can't get you past. Vincent smiles broadly.
Excellent.
Tough. Zia is standing in front of you, blocking your way. You're about halfway to the world's end at this point when the Archon herself arrives, and she is just staring at you.
He probably doesn't even see her at first. He almost runs into her as it's, and he just takes a step back. He shakes his head. What is it? I don't have time for this.
I'm glad to meet you here. It is... I'd like you to consider this a night of opportunity. Please, follow me.
Like Toph's eyebrow would go up. Arches. Opportunity. And he can't help, narrows his eyes. What do you mean? Or let me guess. I can't ask any questions.
Oh, you'll be allowed to ask as many questions as you like. When I say opportunity, I really mean duty.
Duty to who?
Your betters.
That cuts deep and grates on Toph's very frayed nerves. He tries to smile, but she could probably see the hate in his eyes as he does so. Okay, yeah, my betters. He reaches into his back pocket, pulls out his shattered phone, pulls up the contact. Not going to make it tonight. Sorry. Send. And he puts the phone back in his pocket. And he makes this really elaborate and exaggerated bow. Lead the way, my lady.
We don't have far to go, Bruja. She starts walking down an alleyway.
Yeah, I think he follows. He's a little on edge. He's already starting to draw forth any strength that he might need. So he's kind of starting to coil up, like you ever seen a cat when it sits there and it starts to move its leg, get ready to pounce? That's what Toph is right now. He's very much on edge.
She, you with apprehension follow, you, like you say, coiling and getting yourself ready for anything. She leads you down this alleyway, and there are a row of sort of red brick houses that sort of make up one side of this alleyway. You can see that it's Victorian architecture. These buildings sort of been here for some time. And there is sort of like a rotted wooden sort of signboard above one of these old doors that she basically just nudges open with one of her combat boots. She nudges it open and just says, "After you."
I don't think Toph really wants to go in, but he's definitely not going to tell her that. So he steps through the door. He doesn't even look at her.
She steps inside after you, and you are greeted with what looks to be like a very old workshop, a woodworking shop to be precise. You see a number of rusted bits of machinery, sanders and saws and the like. Also hand saws and hand tools that you would find just left there. Upon the walls, you see that there are a number of instruments, old instruments, string instruments to be precise. And she looks at them and beholds this old craftsmanship. I used to come here when I dwelled here last time. It's been many years, but it's nice to see that some of my collection still remains. I hear you are a connoisseur of such.
Toph can't help but look at the instruments. He shrugs his shoulders. Yeah, maybe in another life I was.
Yes. Yes, we all carry the wounds that we bore in life. But we also carry some of the same respects that we garnered back then. I, for instance, I've always been a dancer, and I have moved to the melody of many of these instruments. But I understand and I respect that it takes craftsmen to create these beautiful instruments to which I dance to. Do you respect craftsmanship, Toph? She uses your name, I think, for the first time.
Yeah, I think she's kind of behind him, and that would bring his head around. He turns and looks at her. Yeah, in a way, I do. Toph lives a life now where everyone's working the angle. So he says it because he's trying to figure out her angle.
Mm-hmm. You understand that only a few of our number were privy to what happened last night. You and only a few other vampires have seen that our prince, the prince of this place, is missing.
Toph can't help himself. He gets a big smile on his face when he remembers the night before. I can't imagine the look on Mr. G's face, but that he immediately goes back to that visual image, and this smile spreads across his face. He goes, and he nods.
You have been, shall we say, a loose cannon when it comes to speaking your mind. I'm here to ensure that you understand what is at stake here.
I think Toph's eyes drift back to the hanging stringed instruments before he turns to face Z. I get what you're saying.
I am here on behalf of Mr. Gisborne.
He can't help it. There's a sigh when she says his name. Fucking should have known.
He reliably informs me that while he is taking the matter of the prince's disappearance very seriously, that I am to ensure that you remain secure and you finally begin to act on the promise you made. You signed for you and your friends, and I'm here to cash in.
I think there's that cold, sinking feeling in Toph. If he had a heart that beated, this is more the moment where it would skip at least the beat. And his eyes narrow. What do you mean? What do you intend to do?
Some clans are more forthcoming than others. The Bruja, as I'm sure you're aware, have always been on edge. They say it's your nature. Your first assignment is really rather simple. I would like a full, documented dossier on all of Sid's movements, starting tomorrow night.
His head is slowly starting to shake. What? That's bullshit. I'm not doing that.
Without even breathing, you are suddenly aware that Zia is intimately more close to you than she was a millisecond ago.
Yeah, he just feels the powerful presence of this vampire. And he knows. He's still shaking his head. He's like, I can't do that to Sid. What could you possibly need me to do that for?
As I was saying about craftsmanship, it's often preferred, but anything will really do. She steps back, celerity blurring her movements as she snatches a viola from the wall and brings it smashing down onto the workbench, leaving only the strut of the instrument, which now resembles a large pointed stake, and she presses it to your heart.
I think Toph grits his teeth, and he locks eyes with her, and he says, well, if you're going to end me, you're asking me to do something with one of the few that I trust in this world. You'd better give me a damn reason.
We are taking account of everyone's motivations when it comes to the disturbance yesterday. The Camarilla are, shall we say, battening down the hatches. Things are going to be changing around here.
You mean changing?
You'll find out soon enough. Do as I say.
Fuck you.
She looks down and gives you a smile. I won't ask again. The point pressed to your chest.
Sid didn't do anything. You're wasting your time. You're wasting my time.
I'd like you to make a dex and brawl check, please, Toph.
Yes. Oh, shit. Shit. And brawl. Oh man, all those dice, and still I only come up with 3 successes.
Okay, well you're going to take 6 bashing damage. 3 because I haven't halved that. But essentially out of nowhere, Zia basically has the stake against you like that, drops it in one fluid movement, just brings her elbow across your jaw, and it sends you flying across the workshop. You smash into the wall.
Toph hits hard. It would have killed a mortal man. And even then, he feels his cheekbone has been shattered by the blow, and he gets up, and it's already bruising, but his vampiric healing is already starting to take effect. But still, he shakes it off as he pushes himself up, and he even reaches and steadies himself on one of the work tables. He goes, maybe spits out some blood, wipes it off. I'm not going to fight you. I know I can't beat you. He spits out a wad of blood. I'll do what I said, but I'm telling you, Sid didn't do anything.
If that's true, then you have nothing to fear. But remember, you made a deal. It's time to make good, Bruja.
Fucking already regretting that.
I will be ensuring that your friends do the same.
You leave them out of this. I was the one that made the deal, not them.
You signed for them. And they, in turn, as Mr. Gisborne has told me, have opted to do the work in your Nosferatu friends' absence.
I think Toph is just so pissed he can't say anything. He's speechless. You know, taste the blood in his mouth. And he just looks at her. His face just kind of, his cheek just kind of crushed in. Maybe his eye even maybe sagging a little bit from the blow. Are we done?
You have a nice night. And she gives you like a very big smile with a full pair of lips, and watches and waits for you to walk past.
I think Toph does. Walks past, walks back out into the alleyway, and back out to the street.
As you are walking away, you can hear a pling, 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 pling as a stringed instrument is tuned and then begins to play. Donica, Siegfried, what are you doing now?
Donica will follow or try to follow Vincent to whatever this thing is. He'll put on a mask of like a different man that he's seen here in the club, probably. A vampire, not someone here at the club, actually. Somebody else that he would recognize, that he would fed on sometime. He'll put that mask on and then he'll follow Vincent.
And Siegfried?
Yeah, Siegfried for the meantime. He's not sure that he's included in this whatever infiltration Donica's getting ready to do with Vince instead, but he'll tag along with the two of them for the time being anyways. In case that there's something that he needs to say to them, or vice versa.
Vincent leads you to this almost, this looks more like a penthouse almost, or rather like a large suite. There is a bed, there are a number of divans and exotic furniture. But you notice that this vampire that you expect to be brought in here isn't there yet, to which Vincent says, "You have a short while. If you wish to see him perform the act, I would advise you to remain very hidden."
And that's something I'm good at.
Vincent gives an unsure look towards you, Siegfried.
Yeah, Siegfried will kind of shake his head. I'm sure Donica's well and capable enough to see what he needs to see and relay it back to me. In the meantime, I'm sure you're very busy, but if you have a moment for a word.
We shall speak now. And Donica, I would urge you to take your position very soon. I will be welcoming our guest in shortly, and then you and I shall have a conversation, Siegfried.
I'll look around the room at places that I could possibly hide. Like a natural one would be like under a sofa or under a bed, but I want to be able to see. So if there's like anywhere where there's like an air conditioning unit, something like that, he would like climb in there. If not, like in a wardrobe slightly opened, something like that.
I'd say your best plan, you have three options. You can either go into a mirrored wardrobe / closet that slides open, so you can like have a little bit of a gap maybe, or behind some curtains. Or I don't know if they'd have there could be like a small ventilation. It might be a bit of a struggle, but you can go into a ventilation shaft.
Probably seems the best choice. The last thing I want is this guy seeing me. He will kill me if he sees me. I get the impression that there's no question there. Yeah, if he can climb into that unit and close it behind him and like look through the grate, that's the thing that he would do. If not, it will be the wardrobe.
It isn't long before you see Vincent sweep back into the room, this time accompanied by this Nim. And he says, if you'd like to make yourself comfortable, we shall ensure your guest is introduced to you. And, well, and he sort of like trails off. And Nim, this ratty Ventru, just gives a nod and says, get on with it. And Vincent gives a very, very tight-lipped smile. He clicks his fingers. A girl walks in. She wears a short dress and platformed heels. And she doesn't appear to be in the right state of mind, as usual. And he says, if there's anything else, you need only ask. And Vincent sweeps from the room. And Nim mutters under his breath to the woman who appears to be in a world of her own. I've been looking forward to this for a long time. It isn't often I get to drain someone like you. Siegfried. Vincent sweeps from the room and closes the door. And he sort of ushers you to a side room off the main walkway, as it were, of this place. And he says, yes, Siegfried.
Yes, it's unrelated to perhaps to the current business, so if we need to speak more in depth at a later time, I understand. I'm sure you're quite busy. I can't help but have noticed and have heard some of the strange abilities that you possess, abilities that don't seem to be common amongst all vampires.
You speak of my gift of thaumaturgy.
If that's what it's called, then yes, that's what I speak of.
It is one of many names, yes.
I find myself curious of this set of abilities that you've developed for yourself. And though our origins, it seems, are not the same, is this power? What is it? Is it something that can be learned?
It is something that was given to us, the genesis of our kind, when the Magi sought dark powers, the dark powers of all vampires. They sought to have their cake and eat it, Siegfried. They sought the power, but not the curse. But alas, all of us are embraced by the night, even with our power. You would learn of this, would you?
Yes, I'm finding more and more in this world that a variety of powers seems to be the key. Control in different areas does a lot to securing a meaningful position here. And powers like yours seem to be quite useful. They seem to have a very specific difference to others.
Yes, it does rather help being able to turn blood into fire.
Yeah, Siegfried's eyes will like go wide at that. Like he's heard like some of the minor effects of like Donica describing what Vincent has like fiddled with, but like blood to fire is not something that he's seen. Um, like his eyes would widen at that. Blood to fire seems like quite the thing.
I hope to show you someday, but as you might imagine, Siegfried, it does get rather messy.
Perhaps someday I'll have the opportunity to see it. I'm sure it's quite the sight. If one wanted to go about discovering this sort of power, what would one need to do?
In Covent Garden, it is our domain, the Tremere. We guard our secrets rather jealously, but I look upon you as a potential ally, Siegfried. I cannot promise you anything, but I'd be sure to introduce you to more of my kind.
Yes, perhaps we can help each other.
Indeed. Do you have a plan? I don't mean to be impolite, but this seems rather sporadic behavior.
You've asked us to deal with certain people. We have a plan currently in motion to do so.
Excellent.
Consider this research for a pending operation.
Very well. Well, as I said, my skills will always be at your disposal when my interests will be served as well.
I'm sure that we'll be able to take advantage of them when the time comes.
Tough. You slump out into the alleyway and continue on your way. How are you feeling and what are you doing?
Actually, Toph is actually feeling pretty good. He has a pretty strong, high stamina, so he's actually able to absorb quite a bit of that blow. But he didn't want. He probably played it up a little bit because he didn't want her to hit him again. So yeah, as he gets to the alleyway, he's probably like pushing that cheekbone that is shattered up into place, and he can already feel the bone starting to knit and all that stuff. He probably thinks he's thinking to himself, one of the advantages of being a vampire is that quick healing. So he would kind of pauses for a second and looks back down the alleyway. It's that moment, like we've all probably been there. Toph's moment is when he's so fucking angry but powerless to do anything about it. Like he so bad wants to be able to give her what she gave him, but he knows he can't. I mean, even if he did, it wouldn't end well. And plus the other thing too, I mean, Toph, for all of his being a rebel, it's probably one of the biggest taboos of the masquerade. And one of the rules of the Camarilla is a vampire cannot kill another vampire unless it comes like some sort of directive from the royalty themselves, who they kind of make their own rules. So he's just pissed, and he's sitting there, reaches in his back pocket, pulls out his phone. He says, "Change of plans. I will be there," and jams the phone right after he sends it back into his pocket, and he continues along on his way. But he doesn't walk normally now. He's pissed, and it's just like he's a blur. It's like one of those things where he's standing there, puts the phone in his back pocket, then it feels like as the camera disappears as he runs to the world's end.
You're muted, Rob.
Muted.
I did wonder, but I was just riffing and buying time to look up something on my Google Doc, so it's all good. There's an individual that's waiting for you at the world's end. His name is Ruben, and he is your drummer. He sits there with sort of like a ripped, like rocker vest. He's got holes in his jeans and like Doc Martens, essentially very much akin to your fashion sense. Ruben's a vampire, correct? All of your bandmates are vampires.
Nope. None of them are.
Oh, so they don't know.
Bandmates are no, they do not know.
Ruben's there. He's the drummer, and he has limited. Not the brightest tool in the toolbox, and he says, "Oh, all right, Toph. Been a little while."
but isn't my favorite drummer. And he walks up to him, gives him a big hug, gives him a kiss on the cheek.
Ah,
You miss me that much, huh?
well, I do, mate, but I'm afraid to say the others don't want to come. They're thinking of going solo.
Solo, huh?
Not been around, man. Not been coming to rehearsals. And you still owe me about 400 quid for the recording equipment we used once. Once. You said something about our new sound. You said it was going to be astronomical. And now there's no new sound. Just 400 quid sized hole in my wallet.
I think he would be still kind of that loose moment where they're releasing the hug and Toph's hands grow tight on his shoulders, Ruben's shoulders. I told you I'm good for that money. And as far as the other two, I'll talk to them. I've been busy, okay? It happens.
Where you been, man? We've been worried about you.
I've been busy, okay? Better you don't know. Trust me. But I'm back and I'm ready. I met this new guy. He's kind of connected. I think it's going to be good for us. Some Romanian or something. Maybe he's Russian. I don't know. I didn't really pay that much of attention. Slipped him one of our demo CDs. Said he was going to give it a listen.
You mean like that agent that you introduced me to that time in the hotel?
Yeah.
He had some very strange taste, Toph.
Sometimes you gotta make some sacrifices in order to make it. Right?
Well, I'm always the one doing the sacrificing, Toph, hey?
That's because you're my favorite. That's why.
That's really worrying.
He throws an arm around him, gives him another kiss on the cheek. He says, let's get a drink and we'll talk about the others.
All right, then, mate. Well, we'll get a drink and we'll talk about the others.
And I think Toph, in a much different way than Siegfried's, Toph actually is able to have quite a bit of presence himself. And he is going to bring that into play as he wins his drummer back over to seeing the wisdom in what Toph has said and the direction of the band. And also he wants to find out where the other two fuckers are because Toph's going to have some words with them.
For sure. Donica, you're gazing through the gaps in this this vent. And you see this Nim sort of looming over this woman. And he runs like a horrible grotty finger down the side of her shoulder. And he says, now, I've had my starter. That was ruined. But you, my dear, are the main course. And I'm going to enjoy draining the life from you slowly. And he lowers his teeth to her neck and begins to drink deeply.
Is it against the masquerade to kill people? Not really, right?
You're not really supposed to kill people.
Okay. Excellent. Yeah, so Donica finds it horrifying, but also knows that if he reveals himself, this vampire will simply kill him. That he tried to fight him earlier and he battered him, so he's just gonna watch, sort of unable to look away.
He wasn't
nervous.
as strong as other vampires you've encountered, but he certainly is strong, so sure.
Sure. But also it wouldn't he's Ventru, which means he's rich. And having him on tape murdering someone is also quite useful in a separate sort of way to how it fucks Jeremiah. It can also now fuck Nim. And so he'll like cringe and watch, but he won't interfere.
And you watch from the vent as slowly life leaves this poor woman, and she dies in this creature's arms. And it is there that I would like you to make a test that we keep neglecting in this game, but no more. I would like you to make a humanity check, which I believe... Is it just humanity? Do you roll the same amount of humanity you have, or is it willpower?
I'm not actually sure.
Jeff.
I'm not 100% positive. I thought it was something to do with one of the virtues, like conscience.
Yeah, I thought so too.
Self-control / instinct, courage.
Oh yeah, I think you're right. Actually,
I don't remember which, or if it's a combination, or how it specifically
I think
works. But
it depends on what you're thinking, Rob. But self-control definitely implies, but conscience can imply too.
I think it's conscience, but then I don't really know what to ask you, to be honest. Should really have lit this up.
No, it's fine. It's always going to be, if it's virtues, it's going to be two of them, right? It's never, you never roll one thing, so it'll be one plus the other. Maybe would be my guess. So like conscious and self-control, something like that would be my guess. Because you never roll one stat really in World of Darkness. It's always like this plus this.
It's really to see if your decision to let someone die in front of you is going to affect your humanity. Are you going to become more of the beast, essentially? It's like, are you becoming detached from humanity? For now, absolutely. Then let's go for conscience and self-control then.
Okay. 2.
Okay. For now, you don't feel any different. Let's leave it at that. But yeah, you watch as Nim kills this girl.
Yeah, he'll watch and wait. Hopefully for like Nim to leave. He'll like give it a few minutes. I guess when Vincent comes back into the room later, that's when he'll reveal himself.
Yeah, soon Nim is gone. He just adjusts his raggedy tie and leaves. What do you want to do? Do you want to meet back up?
Yeah, I would wait for a few minutes to ensure that like Nim doesn't come back in, or nobody else comes in and like sees his dead body. But once that's like clear, Danica will like step out of the place and walk past the girl and like look somewhat like forlorn down at her. Like that wasn't fair, that wasn't necessary. But we'll continue walking and then at the door try and find Vincent and Siegfried.
Yep, you're able to convene if there is anything you wish to say to Vincent before you depart. If you want to depart.
I would say, where's Jeremiah?
In the office.
Might have a quick word.
Certainly, I shall accompany you.
And he'll give Sig a look like, all good?
yeah, Sig will just nod.
He'll like knock on the door.
Yep.
Jeremiah, how you doing? And he'll like walk in and take a seat without being offered.
You again.
Yeah. Listen, it's kind of awkward, but it's been an interesting evening here.
He takes a long drink, obviously. What was your name again?
Leech.
That's right, Mr. Leech. Why has it been an interesting evening?
Well, there's been a murder, firstly. And secondly, the masquerade is broken.
And you're some kind of bastion to which it's tenants
No,
are
no, no, no,
defended.
no, no. Jeremiah, no. Oh, no. I couldn't give a wet fart about the masquerade, to be honest. But what I could give a wet fart about is owning this place instead of you. You have allowed these things to happen under this very roof. And, well, the options are pretty clear. I think you gift the place to myself and Siegfried. Or we go to the Camarilla and they give you the true death.
Siegfried you went in the office too, right?
Yeah, he'll be kind of standing like next to Vincent between Donica and him.
He laughs. Oh, this is it's all to do with what Faye told you to do, isn't it?
Well, initially, yes, it was. But then I met you and you were such an arsehole that it kind of became personal.
Mm. That's very interesting. You're right. I am an arsehole. And I got where I am because I'm an arsehole.
Yeah. Yep. And you've gotten pretty far. But now, well, looks like you're going to start again.
Why exactly?
The aforementioned murder and breaking up the masquerade.
Well, Mr. Leach, I don't want to be too coy about it, so I'll just get to the chase. What makes you think there's only going to be one murder here tonight?
Well, a number of things. One of which is that the sunglasses I'm wearing are recording this conversation and all of the things I've seen tonight directly to my computer. So there is that. I also believe that it's another pretty heavily weighted member of the masquerade not to kill your own kind.
Many of our kind have died in these rooms. You not be the first.
Right. Yep. That's probably fair. If you want to try and kill me, you could do so. But the video is recorded and you will go down for it. Now, I'm willing to not spread that video anywhere. And, you know, we can even pay you a little stipend and you can go your own way. But if you want to try and kill myself and Siegfried, you can try.
He gets up and he walks over to the side of the room, and there's a globe on which he opens, and there's a number of bottles within it. And he takes two of the bottles. One looks to be filled with blood, and the other whiskey. And he sort of, with a barman's dexterity, manages to sort of twirl the bottles and just like pours like that, mixing the two. Takes a shot. I like you, Leech. Why do we say we make all this mess go away and you come work for me? Can make you both very comfortable.
Well, I work for myself. I can't speak for my associate here, but I really don't want to work for anyone specifically. I work for Faye because he's ancient and he's the leader of our clan. And I think that clan is something that's quite important. You don't seem too concerned with that. You know, that's acceptable. I can see that you're a self-made man, and that's got its merits too. But it's good to know when you've been beaten.
Beaten. He walks from the globe around his desk. And he picks up a crowbar. We'll see who's going to get beaten, boy.
Really, Jeremiah, it's really not a good idea. There are two of us and one of you, and also it's all on tape, so even if you kill us, you're done for it. So why not just go gracefully? We can even pay you a little bit of money.
I'm glad you're going to be filming it.
I'm going to leap at him.
And that is where we're going to leave our session tonight.
Oh, what a guy!
Oh, interesting, very interesting. But I very much enjoyed that. That was a very nice contained session. And thank you, Lionel, for joining us in halfway through. That was cool. Good to see you, man.
Yeah, sorry I was late, guys, but I
No worries,
rushed
man.
home as quickly as I could.
No worries at all, man. All good. So, as ever, those of you still watching, now and after the fact, we're going to go through our experience points. So, we're going to do learning curve, then followed by what do we call the other one? Learning curve and role playing, isn't it? Have I forgotten?
Yeah.
Favorite moment.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
Role-playing
that's right.
moment.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah.
Something cool. That was it. Something cool. So we'll start with Siegfried. What does Siegfried learn this session?
Couple things. So he's learned perhaps a little bit more of potential powers that have existed. For example, Vincent either can or knows that there's the ability to light people's blood on fire, which seems particularly dangerous to vampires.
Mm-hmm.
In addition, the power of Zia, who has appeared to him in his dreams, though she did not particularly do or say anything with that. At least he's assuming that that was a power and not just a dream. At this point, it seems a safer assumption. So he's kind of the curtain of vampiric powers have kind of been pulled slightly, ever more so back to reveal themselves.
Gradually, more and more of this world is becoming apparent to you. Absolutely. Great stuff. What did Donica learn this session?
Let's see. He learned that sometimes it's not enough to be clever because vampires are animals. That's the big one. Like he went through all this trouble and all this like work to ensure that it was like airtight, the plan of the blackmail. And at the end, you can't really account for someone who like is still superhumanly strong and fast, and so could potentially just kill you, and also has an animalistic side that could make them want to kill you, as opposed to just like being like accepting the fact that they've been, you know. So that's one thing. Like you can't rely on them acting like people because they're not people. Was one thing that he learned, I think.
For sure. And also, I mean, your plans isn't what I liked about that was that even though there can be those individuals that say, no, fuck it, we'll fight anyway, you're still getting it all.
Yeah.
Which I really liked. I really liked that. So what I learned about you was that you know enough about surveillance, or at least more than me. And Toph, what did Toph learn this session?
Oh, shit. Toph has learned that you reap what you sow. And sometimes that is much worse than not not doing it. Like that contract is constantly coming back and haunting Toph. And I think this session, Rob, you really drove the dagger in deep and twisted it. Toph being forced to rat out on Sid, his probably, like he said, the one being on this world that he trusts implicitly. And now he's being asked basically to violate that trust. So that was beautiful, but that was a learning moment for Toph for sure. Cause that was my Donica moment. That moment that Donica has struggled with every time, like fuck you all. And I loved it, every minute of it.
What I think the running narrative for Toph has been for a number of sessions is his pushing his loyalties. And I like seeing how you react differently to that kind of thing. Okay, something cool, and this is a free-for-all, so let's begin with something cool about Toph.
I just loved the conversation with the drummer. I thought it was great. It's just like, it felt very real. And also like you could get this like sense that Toph is actually quite controlling with mortals, because he's not like that with vampires necessarily or with us, but like there was a real sort of like, yeah, shut your mouth, I'm the boss, when it came to the drummer. And I feel like that may be the case with him and most humans, which is a different side kind of that I didn't expect.
Oh, it was really cool. Sorry, I don't know what I'm saying.
I liked how after Toph got his just got thoroughly trounced by Zia, Like he had already canceled the meeting with the drummer. He gets like bashed across the face and like told he has to do all this like terrible stuff. And then like he just leaves and immediately just gets back on his phone and just like, oh, never mind, I do have time tonight. He's still down to meet up, just like goes straight from getting his face smashed in and showed who's boss to just like going right back about his business as if nothing happened.
I like that as well. I also like that you stood your ground as well. That was that meant a lot. It was good to see that you do that. That was very cool. Something cool that Siegfried did.
I loved the scene with Siegfried and Vincent alone, because we've said this before, kind of this evolving storyline for Siegfried is him coming into his own and him gaining like his own independence as a vampire. And I think, Jeff, you brought that out tonight. I just saw it. So like how Siegfried was engaging with Vincent. It was very visceral and I loved it. It makes me think, what angle is Sig running on this here? You know, it's like, it was really good. I loved it.
That's what I like about it too, is that like Sig and Donica are allies, and that's like been clear, and there is trust, but also there's a time when Donica's not there, and that's when Sig goes to ask about the magic, you know, which is also like interesting because it's like, how close is anyone really in this party? You know, how close are we really? And after like all the shit that's gone down in the past, like everyone's kind of out for themselves, and I like that sort of change in Sig, because I think initially he was the most shell shocked to be a vampire. But it's starting to, like Lana said, like he's starting to really become his own thing.
Absolutely. Just trying to think, because you nicked the one that I was going to use.
The other cool thing I thought was the feeding on the woman. I thought that was like very Sig.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good point. Damn it. Right, come back to me. I'll come in. Let's talk something cool that Donica did.
Springing the masquerade break, definitely both in and out of character was like such a like Don's been like so like calculated and careful to make sure that like he never, you know, is the one who's gonna get trashed for these things that are happening. Always trying to make sure that he's the safe one that takes all the precautions. And then he just literally turns about and like vampire faces these random poor civilians. Like I was just totally not at all expecting that, given how we had talked over the plan. We knew the plan, and then Don was the one to break the plan for once. He's usually the one that's like, no, we made a plan. We're going to do the plan. What are you guys doing not doing the plan? To see him go free for all was very interesting, given the opportunity.
I love the scene with Donica and Nim when it was just the two of them. And, you know, you were selling it, Lloyd, with the, oh, well, I don't know. I'm just a newly That was so great because, like, all of us, we know what Donica's really like. So we know that this act, but I mean, you sold it so well. If you wouldn't have, you know, you could see Nim saying, this groveling little shit. But I love that scene.
Okay, so I thought of my cool bit for Siegfried as well, and it kind of involves Donica as well. It was the conversation you guys had when you went to Donica's new digs. You missed this. Lionel Donica now has a strange gothic kind of sanctum.
I hope that was didn't overstep either, but like I hope
that was perfect.
The place, yeah, cool.
No, I really like that, and it's someone you would find as well, which I enjoyed. So I enjoyed that conversation anyway. I also enjoyed just talking to you as Tobias. Donica's always more relaxed around Nosferatu. It seems with Tobias it isn't any different either. So that was good fun for me. Have we done everyone? We have, haven't we? Cool. Excellent. Well, in that case, to those watching live and after the fact, thank you ever so much. If you like this video, give it a like. If you'd like to see more like it, then give me a subscribe or not. We're all friends here, or are we? Let me know what you thought the cool points were in this session. And I hope that all of your performances are up to standard.